A shocking betrayal. The Valoran sky burned red as enemy warships filled the atmosphere. The Galactic Council's fleet had arrived without warning, raining destruction upon the once peaceful planet cities. Crumbled forests blazed, and Valor and families scrambled to escape. But there was no escape. The Council had come to send a message, and that message was written in fire and blood in the capital city of Tor Vallis. Supreme Elder Kalon watched in horror from the Council chamber. The Valoran had always believed in peace diplomacy and unity for decades. They had trusted the Galactic Council to uphold those values. But now the same council they had served loyally was turning its weapons on them. Kalon's hands trembled as he turned to his communication officer. "Send a distress signal to Earth," he ordered. "They are our only hope now." The officer hesitated. "Elder Kalon, do you think the humans will come? They might fear the Council's power cons." Voice grew firm. "Earth is not like the others. They are our allies, our friends. If anyone will stand with us, it is them." The officer nodded and began typing furiously, sending the signal into the void. It was a desperate plea, a single beacon in the darkness thousands of light years away. Earth's leaders sat in a large, secure command center buried deep beneath the surface of North America. The room was buzzing with tension. Military officers, scientists, and politicians crowded around. Massive screens displaying live footage of Valoran cities under attack. The images were horrifying. Towering Council warships hovered above the planet, firing beams of light that turned buildings to ash. President Monroe stood at the head of the table, her face pale. "That determined how many casualties so far?" she asked quietly. "Estimated in the millions." General Harris replied, his voice grim. "The Valoran don't stand a chance without military defenses. Their planetary shields fell within minutes. The Council knew exactly where to strike." Monroe clenched her fists. "And the Council calls this justice. They're supposed to protect the galaxy, not destroy it. They're calling the Valoran traitors," Harris explained. "Apar, apparently some Valoran diplomats refused to support the Council's latest plans for expansion. This attack is meant to make an example of them." Monroe shook her head. "An example? They're committing genocide." She turned to her intelligence advisor. "Any word from the Valoran? We just received a distress signal." The advisor said, "They're begging for help." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what the president was about to ask. "Can we intervene?" Monroe said, her voice heavy. General Harris sighed. "Our fleet is strong, but the Council's fleet is stronger. If we engage, we risk Earth becoming their next target." Monroe looked around the room. "And if we do nothing, what message does that send to the galaxy? That Earth stands by while its friends are slaughtered." "Madam President," Harris said carefully, "this isn't just about Vora. It's about Earth's survival. If we go to war with the Council, we may not come back." Meanwhile, in the streets of Tor Vallis, chaos reigned. Families clung to each other as explosions shook the ground. A young Valoran child named Jira hid beneath a broken piece of metal. With her mother, tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "Why are they doing this to us?" Her mother stroked her hair, trying to stay calm. "Because they are afraid, my love, afraid of what we stand for above them." Council soldiers marched through the rubble, rounding up survivors. One soldier stopped near Jira's hiding place, his weapon glowing ominously. The mother held her breath, clutching her daughter tightly. Before the soldier could act, a group of Valoran resistance fighters appeared from the shadows, launching a surprise attack. Blaster fire erupted, and the soldier fell. Jira's mother grabbed her hand. "Run back." On Earth, the live footage from Vora was broadcast across every news channel. Ordinary humans watched in disbelief as the tragedy unfolded. In a small diner in New York City, construction worker Mark Fisher stared at the screen. "Is coffee forgotten? Those poor Valoran," he muttered. "They didn't deserve this." His coworker shook his head. "If the Council can do that to them, what's stopping them from doing it to us next?" Mark nodded. "That's why we have to stand with them. If we let the Council get away with this, no one in the galaxy will be safe." In the command center, Monroe made her decision. She looked at General Harris with unwavering resolve. "Prepare the fleet," she said. "We cannot sit by and watch our allies be wiped out. If we don't act now, the Council will only grow bolder." Harris nodded, saluting her. "Yes, Madam President." As order were sent out, Earth's warships began to mobilize. Soldiers boarded their vessels, knowing they might never return. The Valoran distress signal continued to echo in the background, a haunting reminder of what was at stake. And as Earth's fleet launched into the stars, one thing became clear: humanity would not abandon its friends, no matter the cost. Earth's dilemma. The room was tense as Earth's leaders gathered in the underground command center. The light were dim, and the massive screens on the walls showed the horrific destruction happening on Vora Flame's devoured cities. Cries of desperate Valoran survivors echoed through the transmissions. Earth's leaders had watched it unfold, and now they had a choice to make. President Monroe stood at the center of the room, her gaze fixed on the screens. "We've received the distress signal," she said, her voice steady, but heavy with emotion. "The Valoran are asking for our help." General Harris, a seasoned military officer, folded his arms. "Madam President, we need to think carefully. The Galactic Council is the most powerful force in the galaxy. If we step in, we'll be declaring war on them. Can Earth afford that?" Monroe turned to him, her eyes narrowing. "And can we afford to do nothing? The Valoran are our allies. They trusted us. If we abandon them now, what does that say about us?" The room was silent. No one wanted to admit the truth. They were afraid. The Galactic Council's fleet was massive, and its soldiers were ruthless. Vora's destruction was proof of what happened to those who defied them. Meanwhile, Admiral Cole stood at the back of the room, watching the debate unfold. He had served in Earth's military for decades, and had seen his share of battles. But this was different. He stepped forward, his boots echoing on the polished floor. "With all due respect," he began, his deep voice cutting through the tension, "if we don't act, the Council won't stop with Valoran. They'll see our silence as weakness, and Earth will be next." A young diplomat named Sarah Tanner shook her head. "Admiral, we don't have the resources to fight the Council. Their fleet is 10 times the size of ours. We'd be walking into a death trap." Cole met her gaze. "And if we don't fight, then we'll be waiting for the day they turn their weapons on us. At least if we act now, we have a chance to stop them before they grow stronger." Monroe nodded slowly. "Admiral Cole has a point. The Council's power is built on fear. If we show them we won't back down, it might make them think twice before attacking us." As the leaders debated, news of the Valoran massacre spread across Earth. In a small town in Texas, a school teacher named Maria Lope stood in front of her class, showing them the footage from Vora. The children, no older than 10, watched with wide eyes as buildings collapsed and fires raged. "Why isn't anyone helping them?" one boy asked, his voice trembling. Maria hesitated. "Sometimes people are afraid to stand up to bullies," she said carefully, "but that doesn't mean it's right." Another child raised her hand. "Do you think Earth will help them?" Maria forced a smile. "I hope so," she said, but deep down she wasn't sure. Back in the command center, President Monroe made her decision. She turned to her advisors. "Prepare the fleet," she said firmly. "We're going to help the Valoran." General Harris frowned. "Madam President, with all due respect, this is a risky move. If we lose, Earth could face total destruction." Monroe looked at him, her expression unwavering. "If we do nothing, Earth will face destruction anyway. At least this way, we're standing up for what's right." Admiral Cole nodded, a faint smile on his lips. "You're making the right choice, Madam President." As the fleet prepared to launch, whispers of the mission spread among Earth citizens. Some were proud, others afraid. In a crowded CCFE in London, 2 friends argued over the news. "It's about time we stood up to the Council," one man said. "They've been bullying smaller planets for years. Someone has to stop them. And you think Earth can do that?" His friend replied, "We're talking about the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. This could be the end of us." "Maybe," the first man admitted, "but at least we go down fighting." In the hangar, base soldiers boarded Earth's warships, their faces grim but determined. One young pilot, Lieutenant Jamie Carter, checked her gear as her team gathered around her. "Do you really think we can win this?" one of them asked. Jimmy shrugged. "I don't know, but I'd rather die trying than live knowing we did nothing." Her words echoed the sentiment of many. Earth might not be the strongest, but its people had something the Council didn't: a fierce loyalty to their friends and a refusal to back down from a fight. As the fleet launched into the stars, President Monroe watched from the command center. She knew the risk, she knew the odds were against them, but she also knew this: if Earth stood by and did nothing, they would lose something far more important than their lives. They would lose their humanity. And so, with the Valoran desperate signal still ringing in their ears, Earth's warships set course for the battle that would decide the fate of 2 worlds, and perhaps the entire galaxy. Earth's fleet strikes back. The vastness of space stretched out before Earth's fleet. As it moved through the stars, hundreds of warships armed to the teeth sailed in perfect formation. Their sleek designs reflected Earth's finest engineering, proof that humanity could stand tall among the stars. Admiral Cole stood on the bridge of the ESFs, resolute, the flagship of the fleet. The stars outside the massive window were cold and indifferent, but his gaze burned with determination. He gripped the railing. As he addressed his crew, we're heading into the lion's den. He said, his voice steady. The Council thinks Earth is weak, that we'll sit back and watch as they slaughter our allies. But today we prove them wrong. Today we fight not just for Vora, but for every world that has suffered under their tyranny. The crew erupted in cheers, their fear replaced by resolve, and the Hanker Bay pilots climbed into their star fighters. Lieutenant Jamie Carter adjusted her helmet. As the roar of engines filled the air, her squad leader Captain Reyes walked over and clapped her on the shoulder. You ready for this, Carter? He asked. Jamie smirked, though her heart pounded. Ready as I'll ever be, sir. Reyes nodded. Good. Remember, stick to the plan, and we'll get through this. We're not just fighting for Vora, we're fighting for home. As Jimmy strapped herself into her cockpit, she glanced at the photo taped to her console. It was a picture of her family back on Earth, smiling on a sunny day. She took a deep breath. This wasn't just a mission, it was personal. The fleet approached the Valoran system, where the Council's ships still loomed like predators over a dying world. The Council's fleet was massive, its ships bristling with weapons. Earth's fleet was smaller, but it moved with purpose. Admiral, a young officer called out. We're entering the Valoran system. The Council ships have detected us. They're moving into attack formation. Cole nodded. Good. Let them come. Prepare all weapons. Fighters launch on my command. The officer hesitated. Sir, the Council fleet outnumbers us 3-1. Cole turned to him, a faint smile on his lips. Then we'll just have to hit them 3 times harder. As the Council ships closed in, a message crackled over the fleet's communication system. It was the voice of a Council commander, cold and mocking. Earth fleet, you are trespassing in a restricted system. Turn back now or face annihilation. Admiral Cole responded, his voice calm but firm. This is Admiral Cole of the Earth Federation Fleet. Your actions on Vora are an act of genocide. We will not stand by and let you continue. Leave now or prepare to face justice. The Council commander laughed. Justice from Earth? You're a speck in the galaxy. Nothing more than an insect. Very well, Admiral. If you wish to die, we'll oblige. The transmission cut off, and the Council ships opened fire. Explosions lit up the darkness of space. As the battle began, Earth's warships returned fire, their weapons blazing. The smaller, faster Earth ships darted between the massive Council cruisers, targeting their weak points. In her fighter, Jamie Carter gripped controls as laser fire streaked past her. Her squad was tasked with taking down the Council's heavy bombers before they could reach the fleet. Stay tight, everyone. Captain Reyes called over the comms. We're not here to play hero. Focus on the mission. Jamie spotted a bomber ahead and locked onto it. I've got one, she said, firing her missiles. The bomber exploded in a fiery burst. But there was no time to celebrate. More Council fighters swarmed around them. We're outnumbered up here, one pilot shouted. Jimmy gritted her teeth. Then let's even the odds on the resolute Admiral Cole watched the battle unfold on the main screen. The Council fleet was powerful, but Earth's ships fought with a ferocity the enemy hadn't expected. Target their lead cruiser, Cole ordered. If we take it down, we can break their formation. The ship's weapons officer nodded. Aye, sir. Firing now. A barrage of missiles and laser fire struck the Council's lead ship, causing massive explosions along its hull. The ship began to drift, its engines failing. They braking for an officer shouted. Cole allowed himself a small smile. Keep the pressure on. We're not done yet. As the battle raged, the Valoran, watching from their planet's surface, couldn't believe their eyes. Earth's fleet, though smaller, was holding its own against the Council. A young Valoran named Kira stood with a group of survivors, her eyes wide with hope. They're fighting for us, she whispered. Her father, a former Valoran general, nodded solemnly. Earth has shown more courage than any of the Council's allies. We owe them everything. Back in the fight, James' fighter took a hit, and alarms blared in her cockpit. She spun out of control, but managed to stabilize her ship just in time. You okay, Carter? Reese's voice crackled over the comms. Still here, sir, Jamie replied, her knuckles white on the controls. Good. We're almost through this, just a little longer. The Council fleet began to retreat, their losses mounting. Admiral Cole watched as their ships disappeared into hyperspace. We did it, an officer said, disbelief in her voice. Cole shook his head. This was just the first battle. The war is far from over. As the Earth fleet regrouped, the soldiers and pilots knew one thing for sure. They had sent a message to the galaxy. Earth would not back down. Secrets of the Galactic Council. The aftermath of the battle left Earth's fleet victorious, but uneasy as the damaged warships regrouped. Near Vora, the mood aboard the EFS Resolute was far from celebratory. Debris from the shattered Council fleet floated in space, a grim reminder of the cost of the fight. Admiral Cole, stood in the strategy room surrounded by holographic maps and blinking screens. The room buzzed with activity as officers scrambled to assess their next move. But Cole's focus was on the central display, a captured transmission from the Council's fleet. "We intercepted this during the battle," said Commander Harbor, the fleet's intelligence officer. She pressed a button, and the room fell silent as the distorted message played. A deep alien voice echoed through the speakers. "The Earth fleet has become a greater threat than anticipated. Proceed with the fallback plan. Target VOR population centers." As a warning to the others, Cole's jaw tightened. They were planning to annihilate the Valoran entirely. He said, his voice low. "Not just their leaders, everyone." Harper nodded grimly. "And it gets worse, sir. We've decrypted another fragment. It seems the Council wasn't acting alone." The display shifted, revealing a list of names and symbols. Some were familiar known Council factions, but others were new alien groups with unknown motives. "What are we looking at?" Cole asked. "These are allies of the Council," Harper explained. "It seems the massacre on Vora was part of something much bigger. The Council isn't just consolidating power, they are preparing for a galactic purge. Earth is on their list." The revelation hit the room like a bombshell. Officers exchanged worried glances. The weight of the situation sinking in. Earth wasn't just fighting to protect Vora, it was fighting for its survival. Admiral Cole turned to Harper. "How much time do we have before they regroup?" "Not long," she replied. "If the Council calls on their allies, they could have another fleet ready in weeks, stronger than the last one." Cole nodded. "Then we need to act fast. We can't wait for them to bring the fight to us. We need to take the fight to them." Meanwhile, on the surface of Vora, the survivors were still reeling from the battle. Kira, the young Valoran who had witnessed Earth's bravery firsthand, walked among the ruins of her city. Her people were grateful for the help, but the scars of the Council's attack ran deep. Kira's father, General Loris, was in a heated discussion with Earth's ground forces. "You don't understand," he said, his voice firm. "The Council has been planning this for decades. They've already infiltrated dozens of worlds, including ours. If you don't root them out now, they'll strike again, harder than before." Major Elena Vega, the leader of Earth's ground forces, listened carefully. "We're aware of the stakes, General," she said, "but we can't do this alone. We need your help." Loris hesitated. He had seen too many betrayals, too much loss. But when he looked into Vega's eyes, he saw the same determination that had saved his people. "We'll help," he said finally. "But if we're going to win, we need to know everything, even the secrets." The Council tried to bury back aboard the Resolute. Admiral Cole met with his top officers to finalize their next move. The fleet was battered, and the crew was exhausted. But there was no time to rest. "Our priority is finding their allies and cutting off their supply lines," Cole said. "If we can disrupt their plans before they regroup, we'll have a fighting chance." "And what about Vora?" asked Captain Hayes, one of the fleet's senior officers. "We can't just leave them defenseless." Cole nodded. "We'll leave a small contingent behind to help them rebuild and defend their planet. The rest of us will move out to intercept the Council's allies." As the officers dispersed, Harper approached Cole with a grim expression. "Sir, there's one more thing you should see," she said. In a secure room, Harper showed Cole a classified report. It detailed experiments conducted by the Council, experiments on Valoran prisoners. The images and data were horrifying, showing the extent of the Council's cruelty. They were using Vora as a testing ground. Harper explained genetic manipulation, weapons development, even mind control. They weren't just wiping out the Valoran, they were trying to turn them into tools for their war. Cole's hands clenched into fists. "We can't let this stand," he said. "The galaxy needs to know what the Council has done, and what they'll do next." Harper added as the fleet prepared for its next mission. Jamie Carter sat in the pilot's lounge, staring at the stars through a small window. She couldn't stop thinking about the battle, the lives lost, and the fight still ahead. Captain Reese joined her, a steaming cup of coffee in hand. "Penny, for your thoughts?" he asked. Jimmy sighed. "Just wondering if we're ready for what's coming. The Council, they're not just powerful, they're ruthless." Reese nodded. "Yea, but so are we when it comes to protecting what we care about. And right now, that means Vora, Earth, and every innocent life out there." Jimmy smiled faintly. "Guess we better not let them down." With new knowledge of the Council's plans and allies, Earth's fleet set course for the unknown. The next phase of the war was about to begin, and humanity was determined to uncover the secrets that could change the galaxy forever. The Council's shadow war. Earth's fleet moved swiftly, venturing into uncharted space in pursuit of the Council's shadowy allies. Every second counted as Admiral Cole worked to strike before the Council's forces could regroup aboard the S's Resolute. Tension was high. The crew knew they were heading into dangerous territory. The fleet's destination, a secret outpost identified in the Council's intercepted messages. If they could take the outpost, they might uncover the location of the Council's main stronghold. Admiral Cole stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the stars ahead. Status report, he ordered. Commander Harper stepped forward. The outpost is located on the edge of a dying star system. Its defenses are minimal, but we've detected faint energy readings, likely cloaked ships. They're hiding something. Cole nodded. We'll need to hit them fast and hard before they have time to react. Captain Ree, commanding one of the smaller escort ships, chimed in over the comms. Understood, Admiral. My team's ready to take point. Cole looked at the crew. This mission is critical. If we fail, the Council gains the upper hand. If we succeed, we strike a blow they'll never recover from. Let's make it count. As the fleet approached the outpost, the eerie silence of the dying system unsettled the crew. The once bright star had collapsed into a dim pulsing core, casting strange shadows on the surrounding planets. Jamie Carter, now piloting a reconnaissance fighter, transmitted a report back to the Resolution. Admiral, I'm seeing signs of heavy activity, multiple landing pads, cargo transports, and something else. It looks like prisoners. Cole's expression darkened. Prisoners. Confirmed, Jamie replied. They're being loaded onto Council ships. Looks like Valoran survivors and others. The revelation ignited a fire in the crew. The Council wasn't just regrouping, they were using living beings as bargaining chips and test subjects. Admiral Cole wasted no time. Prepare for immediate assault. Priority 1, free those prisoners. Priority 2, destroy the outpost. No survivors among their forces. The fleet launched its attack with precision. Earth's warships emerged from hyperspace, their weapons blazing the outpost. Cloaked ships attempted to engage, but were quickly overwhelmed by Earth's superior firepower. Jamie led a squadron of fighters weaving through enemy fire to disable transport ships attempting to flee. You're not going anywhere, she muttered, locking onto a fleeing vessel and disabling its engines on the surface of the outpost. Earth's ground forces launched a daring raid. Major Vega led the charge, her team cutting through enemy defenses with calculated precision. They stormed the main compound, finding rows of cells filled with alien prisoners. Among them was Kira, the Valoran survivor who had stayed behind to help Earth's forces. She had been captured while gathering intelligence when Vega freed her. Kira's eyes burned with determination. We have to stop them, she said. They're experimenting on my people and others. The Council's crimes go deeper than you know. As the battle raged, Harper uncovered critical data in the outpost command center. Admiral, I found something, she said, transmitting the files to the Resolute. Cole scanned the data, his expression grim. Coordinates to their main staging ground, he said. This is at their stronghold. But Harper shook her head. It's more than that, sir. They've been building something, a weapon, something that could wipe out entire planets. The room fell silent. Cole's voice was steady, but laced with resolve. Then, we have no choice. We take the fight to them, and we end this with the prisoners freed and the outpost destroyed. Earth's fleet regrouped. The cost had been high, but the mission was a success. The captured data provided the key to the Council's next move, and the stakes had never been clearer. Kira stood beside Cole on the bridge of the Resolute, her gaze fixed on the stars. Your people have done more than I could have hoped, she said, but the Cecil won't stop. They'll come for all of us. Cole nodded. Let them come. We'll be ready. The fleet set course for the Council's stronghold, knowing the final battle was drawing near. Humanity had proven its strength, but the true test was yet to come. The Council's doomsday weapon. Earth's fleet raced toward the coordinates uncovered in the outpost raid, a location deep in the void, hidden within a massive nebula. The crew of the EFS Resolute knew what awaited them, the Council's stronghold, and their ultimate weapon on the bridge. Admiral Cole briefed his team. We're heading into the heart of enemy territory. Intelligence confirms the Council is building a doomsday weapon capable of destroying planets in one strike. If they activate it, they'll end everything we fought for. This is humanity's last stand. The fleet entered the nebula, its dense gazes obscuring sensors and visuals. Tension gripped the crew as the ships navigated blindly through the swirling mists. Suddenly, the shadow of a massive station emerged, a fortress unlike anything Earth had ever faced. Kira, the Valoran ally, stood beside Cole. Her voice trembled with restrained fury. That's at the Nexus Forge. It's where they create their deadliest technologies. If we don't destroy it now, countless worlds will fall. Commander Harper analyzed the station. Admiral, they've got shields powered by the nebula itself. Standard weapons won't penetrate. Cole's jaw tightened. Then, we'll make our own way and prepare the boarding teams as Earth's fleet engaged the station's defenses. The Council's warships poured out their numbers, overwhelming Earth's pilots, including Jamie Carter, flew desperately against impossible odds. Admiral, we're outnumbered 5-1. Jam's voice crackled over the comms. Cole's voice was steady. Hold the line, Lieutenant, you've faced worse odds before. While the fleet battled, Major Vega led a daring strike team toward the station in a cloak drop ship. Their mission: disable the shields and destroy the weapon from within. Inside the Nexus Forge, the strike team encountered corridors lined with alien machinery and heavily armed guards. Vega's team moved with precision, neutralizing enemies and planting charges along critical systems in the heart of the station. They found the doomsday weapon. It was a colossal cannon, its barrel glowing with the energy of stolen stars. Kira stared at it in horror. They've harnessed entire suns for this. It's madness. Harper's voice came through the comms. Admiral, the weapon is powering up. They're targeting Earth. Cole's voice was sharp. Vega status. Vega responded, we're at the core. Charges are set, but we need more time. The Council's elite guards descended on the strike team. The battle was fierce, and Vega team suffered losses. Kira, using her knowledge of the station, led them to an auxiliary control room. If we overload the power conduits here, it'll amplify the charges and destroy the entire station. Outside, the fleet was battered, but holding. James' fighter weaved through enemy fire, targeting key ships. We can't keep this up much longer. Cole watched the station, his fists clenched. Come on, Vega, we're running out of time. Inside the station, Vega team faced relentless opposition. Cairo worked frantically to override system. Almost there, just a few more seconds. Suddenly, the weapon's activation countdown began. Again, target locked. Earth, an automated voice droned. The charges detonated. The station shook violently as explosions rippled through its core. Kira shouted, we've done it. Get to the dropship. As the strike team escaped, the Nexus Forge erupted in a blinding explosion, sending shock waves through the nebula. The fleet cheered as the Council's warships faltered, their morale shattered. Cole watched the destruction from the Resolute. Mission accomplished, but this isn't over. The Council still stands, and we're not done yet. The final reckoning, the destruction of the Nexus Forge, sent shock waves across the galaxy. For the first time, the Galactic Council's grip wavered, but Earth's victory came at a cost. Lives lost, fleets damaged, and a galaxy still at war. Admiral Cole knew the battle wasn't over. The Council's leadership had retreated to their main stronghold. Earth's fleet would need one final push to end the threat for good. On the EFS Resolute, the crew prepared for what they knew could be their last mission. Commander Harper gathered the officers in the war room. We've tracked the Council leaders to a fortress on a rogue planet. It's surrounded by an asteroid field and heavily guarded. This will be the hardest fight. Yet Admiral Cole stood at the head of the table, his gaze firm. This is our chance to end their reign of terror. No more waiting, no more defense. We take the fight to them and show the galaxy what humanity stands for. The fleet made its way toward the rogue planet, navigating the treacherous asteroid field. Enemy sentry drones patrolled the area, forcing the fleet to stay hidden. Jamie Carter, leading the fighter squadron, guided the fleet through narrow gaps in the field. Stay tight, everyone. One wrong move, and we're space dust. As they approached the planet, the fortress came into view. Monstrous structure built into the rocky terrain, bristling with weapons. Kira, now fully integrated into Earth's command, studied the defenses. That's it, the Council's last refuge. They'll fight to the death. Admiral Cole addressed the fleet. One last time, we fought harder battles than anyone thought possible. We've stood against the Council when no one else would. Today, we finish what we started for Earth, for our allies, for the galaxy. The fleet launched its assault. Earth's warships unleashed their firepower on the fortress's defenses, while fighter squadrons darted through the chaos, taking out turrets and intercepting enemy ships. Meanwhile, Vega and her strike team deployed to the surface. Their mission: breach the Council's command center and capture or eliminate its leaders. The team moved through the fortress as LUR and TH corridors, facing relentless resistance in the heart of the fortress. They found the Council's ruling chamber. The leaders, alien beings of immense power and arrogance, stood defiant. One of them sneered at Vega. You think your kind can destroy us? You're nothing but insects. Via raised her weapon. Insects can bite, and this one's about to sting. A fierce battle erupted. Vega team fought valiantly, and Kira confronted one of the council leaders, her personal enemy who had betrayed the Valoran. "This is for my people," she said, striking the final blow above the planet Earth's fleet was taking heavy losses. James' fighter dodged enemy fire as she targeted a massive enemy ship. "Admiral, we can't hold much longer." Cole aboard the Resolute made a desperate decision. "All ships focus fire on the fortress. We end this now." The combined firepower of the fleet unleashed a devastating barrage, cracking the fortress's defenses. The planet's surface shook as explosions tore through the structure. Vega team barely escaped. As the fortress collapsed, Earth's fleet pulled back, watching as the road planet itself began to break apart under the strain of the assault. The Council stronghold was no more on the Resolute. Cheers erupted among the crew, but Admiral Cole remained solemn. "This was a victory, but the galaxy is still fractured. We've shown them humanity's strength, but now we must show them our resolve to rebuild." Kira stood beside him, a faint smile on her face. "Together, we can build a better future. Your people have proven themselves today, not just as warriors, but as leaders." As the fleet set course for Earth, the galaxy began to take notice. The Council's reign was over, and humanity had risen to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as defenders of justice and hope.